What would you do if you suffered from alcohol addiction, depression, endometriosis, severe acid reflux, body aches, shortness of breath, anxiety? What would you do? Would you take a woe is me attitude and give up on life? Or will you do what my next guest did and take charge of her health? That's my question to you. What would you do?
Welcome to Body Sculpt of New York 6 Weeks to Fitness podcast, where we hope to inform, motivate, encourage, and inspire you towards living a healthier lifestyle. And now, here's your host, the president of Body Sculpt of New York, Vince Ferguson.
Joining me today on my 6 Weeks to Fitness podcast to share her amazing life-changing story and spread awareness on how holistic living can change your life is the amazing Lashay Taylor. Lashay, how are you today?
I'm great. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for coming on the show. I first became aware of you when I watched your interview with Jillian Berry, and I could not believe the physical and mental challenges you endured prior to transitioning to a raw foods lifestyle. And during your interview with Jillian, you mentioned that you took Orville Douglas's Fruit Feast Challenge. Orville is a very good friend of mine. He is really transforming lives with his Fruit Feast challenges, as you would agree. But before we discuss any of that, I want my audience to hear your story. And let's start from when you were a child. Where did you grow up, and did you have health challenges as a child?
So I am in Massachusetts right now, and I've lived in Massachusetts my entire life. I was born in Boston, Massachusetts. I currently still live here in central Massachusetts. I'm no longer in Boston.
Okay.
But from childhood, generally, I was seemingly pretty healthy. Honestly, I didn't have any serious issues. I wasn't on any medications or anything of the sort. Tons of energy, no issues there. The health issues started developing, I would definitely say, in my preteens, like around 12, 13 years old. And that's
Huh.
when I started my menstrual cycle, because that's where
Yes.
all the health issues really started, with my menstrual cycle. Um, with uh, every woman's period, at least in Western culture, it's accepted that you have, a 5, 7 day menstrual cycle. They can be really heavy. It can come with a lot of pain, a lot of cramping, just kind of being down for the count until that cycle is over. And
Mhm.
that was just like a normalized reality in my life. So when that time of the month came for me, that would be my experience. It would be really heavy bleeding. It would be me basically being physically debilitated, not really able to do much of anything besides lie down in a ball,
Wow.
in extreme pain. And I kind of got addicted to taking Midols, which was like the marketed
Hmm.
aspirin, basically, for
Right.
women going through their menstrual cycles. So that was how I coped every single month, from uh, being a preteen all the way into adulthood, and
Wow.
just dealing with the pain that came along with it. I had a lot of nausea. I would vomit. Um, Over time, the bleeding came with clotting, and a lot of that involved. I know a lot of women can relate, but
Hmm.
that was normal. So it was never anything that triggered a trip to the doctor at a younger age, as a teenager or anything like that, even though it probably should have. But we just thought it was normal. So I never really inquired or advocated to go to see a doctor, to my parents. So that wasn't really a thing. I just dealt with it. But eventually, I couldn't just deal with it anymore, because it graduated to a lot more serious health issue, that had more serious symptoms outside of just heavy bleeding and pain.
And when you spoke to your mom just said, well, just deal with it.
Um, she didn't tell me to just deal with it. It was just normal. Like there was no further inquiry outside of I would take the Midol, I would feel some relief, and maybe after the third day I can go on about my business until the bleeding was over. And we would just use like heating pads and stuff, just little things that could provide some sort of temporary relief. But like I said, I never advocated to
Right.
my mom for anything deeper
Okay.
to happen outside of that. And yeah. So
Okay. So beyond that, so that's one thing, right? That was
mhm.
causing issues. What was the next health challenge you had to deal with?
Okay, so it started off with the menstrual cycle. So the menstrual cycle, when I was from preteen to teenager to young adulthood, I'd say my early 20s, it would always be the same up until young adulthood. The bleeding at a point actually never stopped. So before I would have a 5 day or a 7 day cycle and it would be over, and the
Yeah.
rest of the month I could go on with my life. But I would say like hitting that 24, 25-year-old mark is when I started spotting outside of my periods, meaning that I would, even though there wasn't a heavy flow, there was
Right.
still leaving behind, the tint of blood. So I would have to start normalizing the use of wearing things like panty liners or wearing menstrual pads outside of my period cycle. So that kind of became a normal thing. And then when I started hitting like my late 20s to early 30s, I developed full blown menorrhagia, meaning I had an indefinite bleed.
Wow.
So it was like a faucet that would never turn off, and it would be
Unbelievable.
heavy all
Oh,
the time. So I had an extreme loss of blood for like 2 or 3 years.
wow.
And it developed into like an anemic state. I was
Yes.
really weak, really
Mm.
low in iron.
Yes. Wow.
Um, Being low in iron kind of led to oxygen issues inside of my body.
My
To
goodness.
compensate, it's my guess that my body started producing mucus in high amounts. So my lungs started developing this overproduction of mucus, and I had this recurring chest infection. It was like walking pneumonia. I just was I had severe shortness of breath, developed into anxiety. Um, and then the other coinciding health issues I had, I had hypertension, had sinus tachycardia, my resting heart rate was always over 100 beats per minute,
Wow.
severe back pain, I
Mm.
was overweight, I developed a tumor. Uh, I developed it without knowing, with every single period and every single cycle and all of the indefinite bleeding. I was later diagnosed with endometriosis. So I had stage 4 endometriosis. I
State.
found that out at the hospital in
Huh.
2017 when I had to go in for an emergency surgery to
Mm.
get rid of an endometrioma, which was a tumor that
Tumor. Right.
developed
Yeah.
in my lower left side, my abdomen, and it was attached to my left fallopian tube and my left ovary.
Oh, yeah.
So
Mm.
unfortunately, I had to have an oophorectomy, which is basically like a partial hysterectomy, where they take your half of your reproductive organs. So I still have a uterus and I still have my right side
Right.
ovary and fallopian tube, but I had to have the left side surgically removed because the mass was so big and it was starting to invade other organs. So
Wow.
they had to get it out safe, to just save other organs in that
Yes.
area. So endometriosis, it sounds like a really benign thing that people don't take seriously. But endometriosis, literally, it can kill you. The
Oh,
severe loss of blood, all
yes.
of that.
Yes.
It's a lot more serious than you would think.
Wow.
So that happened out of, on my part, full transparency, out of negligence and out of carelessness,
Really?
because I should have gone to the hospital years ahead for those symptoms. And I normalized the symptoms, and I was kind of scared of what I would hear
Mm.
going to the doctor. And I wasn't truly connected to my body at that time because I had a serious drinking issue and I was basically an alcoholic.
Oh,
So when you're drunk all the time, you just kind of ignore those kinds of things going on in your
yes.
life. You don't take care of yourself. You're not your number one. And I wasn't my number one. I was just like evading my problems, drinking, thinking things that, trying to run away. You can't run away.
Right.
Everything catches up to you full circle eventually.
Mm.
So I had a scare at work where I was just in so much pain, and it was like someone was twisting my ovaries. And then I went home, tried to sleep it off because I was so used to pain. I'm telling
Huh.
you, I got so used to pain
Wow.
that I just would try to sleep pain off. And then when the symptoms, when those pains weren't subsiding after a couple of days, the my ex boyfriend, um, he took me to the emergency room, and then that's what led me towards getting the diagnosis of
Right.
endometriosis, and then getting the growth extracted from my body.
Mm.
um so that was in 2017. And I did Orville Douglas's challenge that year. Actually, the year of my surgery, before the surgery,
Oh,
is when
really?
I came across him. And yeah, so I did it in 2017 before the surgery. Felt better than I ever felt in my life, but the addiction I had to other food,
Hmm.
and the drinking and stuff like that,
Yes.
it just led me back to the same old behaviors. But then I ended up having the surgery, and then after the surgery is when I would say, um, on a subconscious level, I knew that I needed to start making fundamental changes in my life.
Yeah.
So the idea of change was rattling, even though the action of change
Hmm.
wasn't there full in effect.
Right.
That didn't take place until about 2020, is when like my true awakening and reconnecting with myself. But that was because I was just finally on my sobriety journey, and I had finally quit drinking in
Okay.
2019. I used to smoke weed. I
Mm.
used to have a lot of degenerative behaviors
Yes.
that I was slowly but surely eliminating since the surgery. I was trying to transition into being more vegan after the surgery. And then I had quit smoking, and then I quit drinking. Like year after year, I was slowly eliminating certain things. And then in year 2020, during the pandemic
Pandemic.
and
Yeah.
everything, out of fear of the respiratory issues I was already having, and then the idea of this respiratory thing being about,
Right.
that really like made me really connect. Like, okay, it's really time to start targeting your respiratory health. It's time to start
Hmm.
really just focusing on healing in general.
Yes.
So after I quit drinking alcohol in 2019, 2020, it was like the awakening is when I
Huh.
started really cleaning up my diet, really eliminating a lot of processed foods out of my diet and incorporating more living foods, especially fruit based,
Hmm.
because I did another Orville challenge in 2020
Oh,
after my 7 day fruit fast. I transitioned to more raw vegan, and then I did another 30-day Orville challenge.
hmm.
And then I kind of did them intermittently every couple of months while he was having them. But the first Orville challenge I did in 2020, I lost like 30 pounds in 30 days. Like
Oh,
it was just
amazing.
like
Really?
only eating fruit. Yeah, only eating fruit.
Wow.
So that's when I felt this. That's when I knew the power of fruit
Mm.
specifically, because I was doing raw vegan. I was eating a lot of like just raw veggies though,
Right.
more than anything. I was
Yes.
eating fruit, but they were the focus for me. You think raw vegan, you just think like salads and stuff. So I was doing a lot of gourmet raw vegan salads and dressings, nut-based dressings and things like that, which is important and good for the transition,
Right.
because no matter what it is, you're trying to break that mental habit of eating the cooked food, eating the processed food, just getting away from that. So whatever it takes for you to at least kick into action of getting more of those living foods into your body, the better. So that's kind of how I started off. And then when I did Orville's 30-day fruit feast, I lost a lot of unnecessary waste that was inside of my body.
Waste.
And yes, and I accumulated the most energy throughout that time, just getting up early, feeling good in my body, feeling lighter in general. Once you lose that waste, you feel light, it's like a straight internal cleansing.
Yes.
So, and it's like, that's when I learned it wasn't about what you're putting inside of you. It's about what you're eliminating, what you're allowing the body to do the work. Stop thinking that all the nutrients and all the magical things inside of the stuff that we eat is what's actually making us feel better, where we're seeing the most change. I think that's all artificial and stimulating more than anything else. But it's really the body that makes itself feel the best. We just have to give the body what it was designed to consume. So fruits really are, we're frugivores. That's what we're designed to consume.
Frugivore.
So, or frugivores, however it is. I say frugivore.
Just living on fruit.
Yes. And I definitely still to this day try my best to be as high fruit as possible, which is why I maintain a thin frame. I got to be more like Orville and hit the weights and exercise a little bit more.
There you go. Yes. Now, it's funny how you say how you eliminated waste, because a lot of people will ask you, well, what about your weight? Because you're losing weight, but you're actually losing waste. Right?
Yeah.
That's
what
amazing.
it is.
Yes, it's waste that you're eliminating. How heavy were you at your heaviest?
At my heaviest, I was like 193. I was pushing 200.
Really?
So I'm 5'3".
5'3"?
Majority of my life, I'm naturally skinny. I have always been naturally thin.
Really?
Even when I was a teenager, when I was in high school, I was a size 0. I've always been a naturally thin frame person.
Wow.
After the surgery, they put me on hormone therapy. They put me on Depo-Provera. Hormone therapy literally put 40 to 50 pounds on me in a matter of months after I got the surgery. So that's what made me the biggest I've ever been in my life.
Wow. Shoot.
And yeah. So
that's dangerous in itself. That's dangerous,
Yeah.
Blood pressure for your heart, it's dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
So you started, okay, go ahead.
So yeah, at my heaviest, I was like that was more like 2016, 2017. So 2016 I was starting to gain some weight, just from the drinking and the eating, but it wasn't extreme weight until after I had that surgery in 2017 and got that Depo shot. So the Depo shot put about a good 40, 50 pounds on me. I was like 193. And then, I wasn't used to being big. So I told myself, I ain't gonna let myself, I ain't gonna let this be like this. And then, I think I started hitting the gym and eating more plant-based, even though I was still eating some seafood and stuff after that. And I think I lost like a good 10 pounds that I kept it at. So I was like 180 for years. I was like straddling that 180. And I lost pretty much most of it during Orville's fruit feast in 2020. Like bulk of it went off in 2020 just from that first month of doing the fruit feasting. And it wasn't weight, it was waste. So a lot of people want to, a lot of people want to maintain. They'd be like, well, how can I stay at a healthy weight? It ain't about no healthy weight. There is no such thing as a healthy weight. If there is waste inside of your body that needs to be eliminated, you have to let it go. So if
Wow.
we start correlating weight to waist, because
Yes.
you can't say, well, I want to hold on to some of this waste. It don't sound right because
Right.
it ain't.
Not when you put it like that.
Why you
Yes.
want to hold on to it, especially us melanated sisters? You know, we be afraid to lose our butts, and
Yes.
if
Yes.
I lose too much weight, I don't want to lose my butt. And it's
Yes.
like, listen,
Yes.
if that booty meat came from pork, them pork ribs,
Yeah.
and them ham hocks, and the turkey legs inside of the greens,
Yes.
then sweetie, you don't want to hold on to it. You gotta
No,
go.
it's not good for you. It's going to cause
Okay.
problems.
Right.
Exactly. Unfortunately, a lot of women don't want to hear that.
Yeah, but you can put the healthy weight on.
Hmm.
The healthy weight isn't. You ain't gonna get the healthy weight by. So yes, you'll be healthier once you lose the waste that is
Yes.
sitting inside of you right now.
Hmm.
However, you can't be afraid to lose all of it. So even if it strips you down, because that's what happens when you eat all fruit. It's gonna strip you down. You're gonna have a malnourished look.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing is the more malnourished you look when you're on all fruit, you actually feel the best you've ever felt in your life. And that was my
Wow.
problem. It's a battle of the egos. It's
Hmm.
the ego on
Yes.
side that you really battling. And it's the personalities surrounding you who's so used to the bloated culture that we live in, right? Because everybody's
Yes.
bloated, everybody big, and even if they don't think they're big, even the people who are all jacked, like the fitness world, they bulk up to get all this extra beefiness to them.
Yes.
And they
Yes.
don't realize that's all inflammation. That's not healthy. So, but because that's how everyone looks, that's how we measure health
Yes.
based on the normal.
Yes.
So they correlate being thin and skinny to being sick. That's
Right.
how Western culture and Western media has created the perception around being thin or being skinny or weight loss in general, especially in our community. We see somebody lose weight. The first thing you think, "Ooh, you all right? You look sick."
You on crack.
Or you on drugs. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
It's
Yes.
like, goodness, no. Can I just care about myself enough to not want to be carrying all that extra weight around
Yeah.
and just be more health conscious and really care about what I put inside of my body and make healthier choices? I feel better. Like I was feeling better. I was breathing better. I was moving better. I had a better mindset. Everything was just better. And then I had people surrounding me telling me, you're getting a little too skinny and you need to eat real food when you eating real food. And it's like, listen, I'm not judging you. I'm here just showing up because that's what I do. I'm just here. And I'm seeing how everybody's living, and even though if I have my own thoughts about it, I don't project them. I don't talk about them. I don't tell anything. I don't. I'm not the food Nazi. I don't go around telling people how to live. But
Thank
because
you.
I choose to live a certain way
Yes.
out of desperation, it wasn't like I chose this life.
Right.
This life chose me
Mm.
because
Interesting.
I didn't feel good.
Yeah.
The Western medicine route wasn't providing the relief. The surgery didn't do what it was supposed to do
Right.
outside of just remove the tumor. But I understood and learned that I had to become my own doctor.
Yes.
And
Mm.
as Orville would say, you got to get on nature's operating table. So
Mm.
whatever happens
Yes.
during the process
True.
happens during the process. You have to just trust in the process.
Yes.
So it's about just getting all of that years and years and years and years of uneliminated, old, compacted waste, that fecal matter that hasn't been properly uh, filtered out of your body. We
Right.
just have to get that process going because you don't want to lose weight. That's a byproduct of just losing waste.
Right.
You're going to
Right.
physically look lighter as a result.
Yes. Yeah, but studies have shown too, when people are at a normal weight, but where they're supposed to be, they're not big and bulky, and their lifespan extends. They get,
Mm-hmm.
live longer. And that is a fact, right?
Yep. Yeah,
I
you
know
don't have
even,
toxins and stuff inside of you.
yeah,
You're eliminating the things that are harmful to your cells.
Yeah.
So
But let's talk about your now that you transitioned to this raw vegan, fruitarian type lifestyle. How has your circle of friends has it changed?
I'm a really introverted person. I never really had a circle of friends, to be quite honest
Really?
with you.
Really? Oh, okay.
Even from childhood, like my mom, we moved a lot for some reason. So even though it was always in Massachusetts, it would be from like Boston to the suburbs, from the suburbs to
Huh.
like, where we live now. So I never stayed at any one place long enough to sustain like good, long lasting friendships.
Yeah.
However, I did have some people that I hang out with, and the people that I hang out with were trauma bonds. They were people I was drinking with,
Oh.
bar hopping, drinking,
Hmm.
smoking. And I noticed that when I stopped drinking and when I stopped smoking, they didn't have much use for me anymore.
Goodness. Goodness.
So,
Yes.
and plus, I also didn't really want to be around them, to be fair, because when you're clear minded and when you're ascending and when you're just looking forward in life and you want to just have more healthier environments and you're in control of what surrounds you, to be in
Yes.
control of your mental health, your level of peace and all of that, you
Yes.
can't have yourself around certain energies. And if they're participating, and if the only time we hang out, you have a drink in your hand or
Hmm.
you rolling up something, and
Yes.
like I think too deeply. I'm
Hmm.
gonna become your life coach. I'm gonna be telling like I don't want. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
in general, I became a people repellent because your energy,
Ah.
your energy just being somewhere, people start thinking about how they live just because like I'm very vocal about my lifestyle on my
Yeah.
platform. Like I don't project it in front of people and when I'm in their spaces. However, it's a huge part of who I am because of how it changed my life. So I feel like I'm doing a disservice to the people around me or the people who want to be around me. Um, I'm doing a disservice by not sharing everything that I have learned because I know that there's a lot of people who are seeking some kind of relief right now who have gone through what I have gone through, who are going through their own version of suffering, depending on whatever their diseases or their ailments are. So I feel like it's important to let people know, like, hey, you don't have to live like that. If you make different choices, dietary choices, you might actually start getting somewhere with your health. You don't have to be tired. You don't have to be sick. You
Mm.
don't have to have any kind of symptoms in your body. It is a choice, but you don't know it's a choice. But once you know it's a choice, once you start making certain changes in your life or you start practicing different habits and you see relief and you go back to how you were and then you start feeling like crap again, um, now you know,
Yes.
right? Because that was where I was. I was for a long time straddling that fence of knowing better and doing better. And I'm still there, to be completely honest with you. I ain't perfect. I
Right.
still will have the war in my head when it comes to like wanting to eat certain kind of food and just stimulating stuff that's more addictive, that's low processed. And I give myself grace in some cases, like it's about progress and not perfection, and you
Thank
do
you.
feel a lot better in your body than you did before. And as long as you're consistent with making certain lifestyle choices, it's okay to have a window of imperfection if
Hmm.
it's in the name of social gatherings or whatever it is. Um,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
yes, but my circle of friends, I have attracted a lot of beautiful people into my life.
Because of this.
So let's
Yes.
say that because me sharing, especially online, has
Yes.
attracted some beautiful beings into
Yes.
my life that I would have never been able to reach if I didn't share my story and share my experiences and share my recipes or just I'm attracting some of the best people who are at all levels of their healing journeys. people who are just starting, people who have been in this for a long time. But my online community
Yeah.
is a beautiful
Mm.
uh, circle of people, and those who are around me, like um, the the friendships that I have maintained in and family, I'm starting to see the changes. They're trying to implement the changes too, and I love that. Like I have like my mom will send me pictures of her fruit that she ate for breakfast,
I was going to ask
and
you about your mom. Yes, really?
yeah, like my little brother just
Yes.
told me he ate 6 plums for he said he just had 6 plums for lunch yesterday. I was like,
Whoa.
wow, this is yeah,
Um,
he a Burger King, McDonald's,
yes,
Wendy's.
yes, yes. And the thing is, a lot of these people didn't even eat fruit before, but now they're starting to incorporate fruit into their regular diet, right?
I
That's a
love it.
win right there.
It
That's a
is.
win.
Just getting it in is better than not having it all. No matter
Yeah.
how you eat, at least now you're putting in some fiber and some water and some food though. The H3O2, like that fruit structured water, you're getting inside of you and you're starting to push a lot of that dead food that you like to eat,
Oh,
the
yes.
dehydrating food that you like to eat,
Yes.
so now you're finally giving your body something that it can use. It's like, oh, thank you.
Yes. And you're giving your body living food because you are a living being. That's
Yes.
why I tell people, I'm alive. Why would I eat a lot of dead food? Right? And it
It's
affects
so simple.
it, well, for us, but not for everyone. You know,
Mm.
I tell people fruit is God's candy. You know what I mean? God's candy. So, but would you say that your journey, what you've been through, and how you're living now is basically your life's purpose now to share this information to help others?
I am definitely becoming more accepting of it being my life's purpose, because I didn't really have a purpose in life prior to this. At least I didn't feel like I did. I always felt like I was meant for more. I
Yes.
always felt like an air of dissatisfaction when it came to life. Like
Yeah.
just feeling like I had or have so much potential that was just untapped, and I just couldn't figure out where I fit in. Like, why am I here? Like,
Yes.
I know that I'm not put on this planet simply to wake up every day, go to work,
Yes.
pay bills,
Yes.
run errands,
Yeah.
and these menial tasks that we call these things that make up what life is for
Yes.
so many people. It just seemed empty.
Yeah.
So getting sick is very, very easily almost my greatest blessing simultaneously, because it's like
Ah,
without that experience, I wouldn't have gone through the struggle of changing my mind, my brain chemistry so intentionally, like working so hard every day, avoiding things that I have lived my entire life programming myself to consume. Um, that that character development that you go through by fighting all of your vices,
hmm.
fighting not drinking the alcohol,
Yes.
fighting not eating meat, fighting not consuming dairy, fighting not smoking, um, and just gravitating towards something that isn't as stimulating, but is just so much more powerful, is so much more useful for my body. And all those things that I loved didn't love me back.
Hmm.
And
Yes.
I had to start accepting loving what loves me back. And because fruits weren't designed to be addictive and stimulating and doesn't give us that instant gratification that we're just so used to in this microwave culture that we live in, like
Yes.
always needing something now and fast and needing to feel relief now and fast. But it's like I had to really put into perspective that I consumed the certain foods that I ate my entire life for my entire life. So it's going to take time to rebuild new habits and for my brain to create new neural highways that's going to redirect my energy.
Wow.
I have to retrain my entire body to
Yeah.
be a certain kind of way. But the only way to do that is to actually put it into practice. And that's why those challenges are so important, because you don't realize what you're doing it when you're challenging yourself. But while you're training, while you're going through that internal war, while you're in the middle of those challenges,
Right.
you're rebuilding that neural network, because you're not going back to that same behavior that you used to. Now you're like really working towards creating whole new habits, and then you keep doing it day after day after day after day, and then before you know it, it's like, wow, this is who I am. Like, I really became this person. But it was just because being in that moment every single day, being intentional.
Yeah.
And you don't realize you're doing it at the time, but that is what you're doing. You're really changing your whole constitution.
Mm.
But food isn't addictive, and I had to learn that too. I keep saying, that food, that isn't food. That
Right.
isn't food.
Right.
It's just, it's edible.
Yes.
It's food-like product, but
Yes.
it's not what we were designed to consume. So if you have an addiction to it, it shouldn't be in your body. And that's why you are supposed to eat the fruit. Because when you eat fruit, you eat until you're satisfied, you're good. You are literally fed on a cellular level, and you are it's nutrient rich. It's not calorie rich. And the transition is hard because people are so used to eating until they're full.
Yes.
They're so used to feeding their stomachs and not their cells.
Mm.
So it's like when you're eating fruit, you're feeding your cells, because then you're satisfied on a cellular level, and then before you know it, you're barely ever hungry. You really only get hungry when it's time for your cells to charge up again, like it needs more energy. And that's why the fruit is powerful, because it's electric.
Yes.
It's a literal charge.
A charge. And we're electrical beings.
We're electrical beings. So it's a literal charge. It makes so much sense.
Makes sense.
And that stuff is acidic. The stuff that we were consuming prior to that,
yes.
like, that is acid. And there's only two sides to chemistry: acid and alkaline.
Alkaline, right.
So you want to eat the alkaline food, and you want to be very careful with the acid. I understand there needs to be a good balance there, but we're electrical beings.
Yes,
we got to eat the food that charges us, the food with the flavonoids. And I'm actually reading a really interesting book right now.
Name of it?
I'm looking at it right now. It's like consciousness. Hold on, I'm sorry, I gotta grab it.
Okay.
It's right in front of me, and it talks about this. Return to the brain of Eden.
Really?
It talks about how our brains literally evolved because of our ancestors who lived in a forest setting where they were frugivores, and where they ate food that was high in flavonoids and a lot of and the fruit has like an anti-steroid effect. And we have a lot of steroids in our bodies now, like really high in testosterone and all of this, but it's because our hormones are affected by a lot of the Western diet, the way of eating. So return to the brain of Eden is really returning back to using both sides of our brain. Because right now we live in a left brain dominant society, and the right brain functions have essentially been suspended. And the right brain is where all of our creativity is.
Creativity, there you go. Yes.
Yeah, our creativity, where we go into a flow state where we're more connected to our consciousness.
Yes.
So
wow,
this book is expanding my mind. Yes. It's such a good read, because it just further reinforces that living this way is just how we're supposed to live. And if you want to start expanding your brain chemistry, like your neurochemistry, you want to start using both sides of your brain, or if you want to tap more into that right side of your brain, it's important to consume the fruit. Basically.
How important is it for you to stay away from negative people?
Very.
Hmm.
I've always been a very, like I said, introverted person. I've always been intuitive, and I almost feel like this is a natural thing that I was born with. I have like a sixth sense, like I read people's energy.
Wow.
So whether I know them or not, they really don't even have to say anything. When I look at somebody, like I just feel like I would know if they're going to be good or, like, so
Yeah.
um energy is really important to me, and I do not go out of my way to be around people that I don't feel good in my spirit
Yes.
around. It's really important. The That's something that we have immediate control over, and you
Yes.
can control your surroundings. You can control who's in your life, because energy is transferable,
Hmm.
and there's a lot of energy vampires, and it's
Oh,
like,
bloodsuckers.
yes, so you have to be careful. You have to be careful who you keep around you. I even have people that I cherish and I adore
Mhm.
because I've just known them for forever. Um, but they got a lot going on in their life, and they continuously make poor decisions that lead to the outcomes that they're currently experiencing. Then I'll talk to them and do try my best to give words of advice, but a lot of them live in a victimhood mind state, and then they'll try to ask me for favors, like, can I stay with you, live with? No,
Oh
I,
boy.
I, I'm the
Oh.
kind of
Oh.
person.
Jeez.
I
Oh no.
can't. I can't.
No.
You cannot bring your energy in my
Thank you.
space.
Yes. Oh, that'll bring
Yeah.
you down, keep you down. Oh no, 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 no.
Oh yeah, and then their problems become mine, and
Thank
then
you. Yes.
when their problems become mine, I have to be in full acceptance of the outcome, and I can't blame them. I'd have to blame myself because I was well aware of the kind of baggage or whatever that somebody else brings. I
Yeah.
can only deal with the problems I create for myself right now, and that's already a heavy enough burden. It's hard to carry the burdens of other adults.
Yes.
So, yeah, other people's energy, it's definitely,
Persona non
I keep
grata.
my distance.
No, thank
Yeah.
you. But also, I will say that most people who I speak with who are raw vegan, like yourself, and fruitarians, like Orville, to me, they are very spiritual beings. They seem to be very much in tune with life, with the earth, with God, spirituality. I find that in my speaking with them, I do.
Yeah. Um, I've gotten more spiritual since this. See, I was always like, we're spiritual beings. We are spirits having a human experience. Everybody's spiritual ultimately.
Yes. Yes.
But it's just more so, how in alignment are
Are
you
you?
with your heart? Like, how clear is your heart? How much can you feel? And so, or how clear is your mind, really? Because a lot of us just kind of walk around with really heavy brains with all the stuff that we carry in our minds. And
That we take in.
um but I have gotten more clear living this way, because the lighter you become, the lighter you become.
Hmm.
And I feel like it makes it easier. Also, our vessels become clean enough to start receiving more divine intelligence.
Yes.
From We're getting downloads from the food that we eat, and then
Hmm.
when you connect even further and go outside and plant the bare soles of your feet on the dirt while you're getting that sun, that electric charge, like, that
Wow.
can only increase you,
Yes.
like, even further.
Yeah.
And prior to that, I didn't have that kind of connection. I didn't even have a desire,
Oh,
really, to be more in tune with nature or
right.
any of that.
Right.
But I've always been a really empathetic person, and the reason why I even became a heavy drinker, because I wasn't a natural drink. Like, like, my mom was a really a drinker
Oh,
growing up,
really? Oh, okay.
and yeah,
Okay.
she was a drinker. Like, she wasn't like no angry drunk or nothing like that. She was like a functional alcoholic. And I'm sorry, mom, if you see this, I'm putting your business up. But like, um, it's the reality.
Yeah.
And I always told myself, I'm not drinking like that.
Yeah.
Like, when I was growing up, it's what I didn't want for myself. And I did not drink until after I turned 21, because I never had any intention on drinking.
Yeah.
And what happened was I got into politics. I was really like, I cared about, I've always been an intelligent and tuned person who cared about substance, things that mattered. So I cared about what was happening in the world. I paid a lot of attention to the world wars. And I would look at the images of like the destruction that would happen in Iraq. And I would see like these children,
Yes.
and I didn't feel a separation from them. You know, like Western culture tries to draw a separation between these invisible borders and lines that they create and chop the
Yes.
world into. But
Yes.
I'm like, if they're that evil and they could do that to those kids, what makes us any special? And then, and then being African American, you know, like we got like Geechee in our family and all of that. Like you coming from the South,
Right.
Black Americans are well aware of how evil the American government can be, and I don't want to bring it there. Like I'm not trying to change the energy of the discussion, but I'm just letting you know why I became a heavy drinker. So already having that that epigenetic experience, right?
Right.
And then seeing everything that's going on in the world, and then kind of becoming red pilled and getting more into like conspiracy theories and going down those rabbit holes. And like I became like a wide-eyed, rose-colored glasses, really hopeful, ambitious, free-spirited person to a I want everybody to realize how bad things are in certain places for certain people, and we shouldn't be comfortable with this, and like really being overly concerned about things I really ultimately had no control over.
Right.
And seeing how much people didn't care, and thinking about the future of the United States, just my perception of what reality was. You know, everybody's going to have their own opinion, but from what I would read, I've always been a reader, so I cared about the economy. I read a book called The Creature from Jekyll Island, which opened my eyes up about the Federal Reserve System, and just like I'm like, wow, our whole reality, like our whole reality is kind of like a scam. Like none of this is real. Like the dollar isn't real. Like this is all going to come collapse, and it's a house of cards, and everybody's kind of just like drunk on this like inflationary spending that's going on. Like, you know, so I'm just like, I'm the kind of person who reads and knows. And then there's the people who just watch the news and blindly believe what they're told. And then, like, you know, I'm like a debater, I'm a teacher, I'm like, so I was like campaigning for Ron Paul at one point. This is like around between 2008, 2012. I was big on Ron Paul, even during the Obama administration, when everybody was all about Obama, first Black president. I was like, oh, please. I said, they ain't letting no Black man in that's going to change the lives of Black people. And I was just like, I was even like that conscious then. And so then that's when my eyes opened up when I was campaigning for Ron Paul, how corrupt the media was, because they were misperceiving his numbers. I was going to these rallies where there was like, he was filling up stadiums of hundreds of thousands of people. Like the energy was there. So for me, they were calling him a fringe candidate and this and that. And I'm like, wow, it just blew my mind. It just shifted my reality of like what was what was real and what was just like, you know, the television. Then I got depressed. And then I told myself one day, I kind of remember the day, I can't remember the exact date and time and age, but I was like, you know what? If the world's gonna go to crap anyways, why should I care? And I literally wrote off my future, and I just started going out and having fun with my friends, socially drinking, having a grand old time. I would work, I would take trips, and then like what became social drinking turned into me just like starting to go to the liquor store and drinking by myself. And then I just kind of got lost in the bottle for a little bit. And it was never really a physical dependency on alcohol. It was just a depression of the reality that we lived in. And instead of using that energy, the only regret I have is not using that energy to kind of counteract and prepare, so to speak, for the reality that I saw coming ahead. I just kind of gave up and was just like, well, if there's nothing I can do about it, why should I care? And I became more self-destructive than channeling it in a more productive way.
Right.
And that's how I ended up becoming a drinker. It's not like I was just like this degenerate person who came from this really bad background and didn't care about anything. It was just more so I became jaded, and it was just a way of just not thinking about it or trying to keep myself distracted. And the more I realized people didn't care, the more depressed I got. And then I became self-destructive, and then it just kind of led me towards this path where I just didn't feel like I was ready to die. So I was willing to kind of get back to nature. Like I was coming against like this information. Things would just come to me divinely. I'd go on YouTube, and then random thing like Fully Raw Christina came up, and that was like an inspiration for me to start the raw vegan lifestyle, or at least it planted a seed in my head. And then I was on Facebook. I somehow came across Orville Douglas. And then I joined his challenges, and then Dr. Sabi, and watching his lectures. And then I would watch Dr. Robert Morse's videos for, like, so it was just like extracting information on a subconscious level. Even if I wasn't ready to implement it, I was absorbing it. And then when my health got so detrimental and I felt like my back was against the wall and I could no longer ignore my body's calls to help, is when all that body of information just kind of kicked in when I was ready. And then I just started my transition to this life.
Well, let me ask you this. Now that you are well into the transition, what are your feelings about the world now and how things are? Has this transition caused you to change your view, or to just focus on yourself and trying to help heal the world as part of your purpose?
Now I'm here, and I still consider myself in the transition because I still find myself okay, so what are my thoughts about all of this? One thing that I noticed in my Jillian interview, reading the feedback from my interview in the comments, because it's got over like 20 something thousand views, and there's like
wow,
thousands of comments, and the comments are telling. One thing people say was, what I love about Lashay is she's relatable, she's transparent, and she's honest. And I feel like this lifestyle transition really is a lifestyle transition, because I made so much progress by being consistent, doing being in the practice of eating living food most of the time, and being in the practice of eating fruit most of the time. However, there were a lot of breaks in between, like a year span or 2 year span, where I would have these relapses, for lack of a better word, of eating really processed, not good for you, like vegan foods. I've even slipped up and had seafood a couple of times in a year, which, so I don't call myself a vegan. I'm definitely just like a living foodist and a plant-based lifestyle person, because I'm not a vegan.
okay.
One thing I am learning, even still to this day of this lifestyle, is mindset is important and matters, because I was chasing perfection in the beginning because I was sick and my intention was to heal my body. So if your intention is to heal, you want to gravitate towards the living food. But when I did have a so-called slip and ate something that wasn't living, like I could literally have like a Chipotle burrito, and it would all be veggies. It would just be rice and beans and some salsa.
Yes.
I would beat up on myself for a month. And because I ate that thing that one time and didn't forgive myself, I used it as license to continue to eat, kind of go backwards. Then it turned into a burrito, turned into a Beyond Burger, turned into, you know.
Yes. Oh,
sorry, it muted me.
Yes. Okay.
It turned into more degenerative eating like over a month span time, and that's because I couldn't just like decide to eat a burrito and not think about it. So I feel like when you're on this journey, be careful with your relationship with food in general, with anything that you consume, because it doesn't matter how healthy you eat if number one, you're not eating the healthy food with love versus eating it with fear or hate for yourself. Because a lot of people, for example, if they're on a weight loss journey, they will start eating healthy, not with love for their body. Like, I want to eat healthy because I love my body. They have the mindset of, I want to eat healthy because I hate my body. And because if you're doing it out of hate, the energy behind doing it isn't sustainable. So you have to shift your perception of doing everything. Every choice that you make is out of love. Even if you're eating something that's not in alignment with your goals, if despite if it's out of addiction or habit or whatever, eat everything with reverence is what I learned, because it's healthier to eat a beef burger with love than it is to eat a raw vegan salad with hate or disappointment or a mindset of lack or feeling like you would rather be doing something else.
Yes.
Because I noticed that I could be eating perfectly for 3 entire months and not really feel too much differently physically, because I wasn't really connecting with what I was eating for a little bit, especially during the beginning, because I was so emotionally attached to the other stuff that I used to consume, especially after I quit drinking, because I really leaned on food after I quit drinking to get past the desire to drink. So I ate a lot of sweets, I ate a lot of junk food, I ate a lot of that to get past just getting past the desire to drink alcohol. So when I decided, well, I'm not feeling good and I'm making these lifestyle changes so that I can have a better quality of life and quality of existence while I'm here, I want to feel my best. I know and understand that I need to eat better, but I was really in my mindset hating myself and full regret of every choice and decision I ever made, saying a lot of really bad negative things to myself in my mind, like just like really tearing myself down on the inside, which isn't good for your cells.
No.
You're not going to heal anything when you're not good in your mind. So it's really about mindset more than it is even about the food. So one thing I've learned now that I'm here is that food, as powerful of a tool as it is, isn't more important than what's going on in that brain. Because people heal themselves just by doing brain work. If you study, what's his name?
Joe Dispenza?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
yes.
I
Joe
knew you were
Dispenza.
going there.
Yep. You study him.
Yes.
He talks about the power of the mind and how
Yes.
people have healed themselves of being even paralyzed and all kinds of stuff
Yes.
just through meditation, just through basically your brain commanding your cells, commanding your body, just really being in connection with that and retraining your subconscious mind So it's when I started doing the mind work, when I started doing the affirmations, when I
Yeah.
started doing the visualizations, and when I really just started shifting my mind from self-hate to self-love, and every action that I do is
Wow.
because I love myself
Mm.
versus because I hate how I feel, I hate how tired I am, I hate. Like those words are powerful and they hold a frequency inside of you.
Yes.
So it's like I love myself so much. I'm gonna enjoy
Wow.
putting this nice big bowl of grapes inside of me. I'm doing this out of love. I'm not doing out of because I want to feel better because no, it's because I love myself so much and I can't wait to feel good. And I know I'm going to because now I trust in it and I trust in the
Wow.
process.
It's amazing.
So that's what I have learned now that I'm here, that it wasn't really ever about the food. It's about the shadow work. It's about what's going on in your heart, what's going
Wow.
on in your mind.
Hmm. Amazing. This has been truly inspirational and such a amazing, interview with you and on your journey. And I think so many people will benefit from just hearing you express yourself. And food is energy. Food is informational. Food is, you gotta love yourself as you're eating. I mean, that is so powerful and it's so true. But where do you see yourself in 5 years, Lashay?
Where do I see myself in 5 years?
Yes.
Um, I see myself, so I'm in the city right now. I see myself settled down with a partner,
Okay.
living somewhere on the countryside on land that we own together, living off of that land. I just want a really simple life.
Yeah.
If you had asked me this question 10 years ago, it would have probably been where I'm at now, which is I would have not been here if it
Right.
wasn't for the change of lifestyle. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Yeah.
Now like it's crazy. I think about the life that I live. Like I'm living in, like a luxury condo that I never would have imagined being able to afford.
Huh.
I have like a career
Yes.
and, I work as a real estate agent in my local market. Um,
Okay.
um, I'm healthy. Um,
Yes.
I influence people to also live a healthy life. Um, I still sometimes deal with what do they call that? What do they call that? Um,
What does it sound like?
Imposter syndrome.
Imposter
Sometimes,
syndrome? Really?
yeah, because
No.
like sometimes, because like I still have my struggles, especially when it comes to this food stuff. There's days
Yeah.
where like I sometimes I just want an experience, instead of like always wanting to do what I know is what is best. Like I'm surrounded by a bunch of restaurants. Sometimes I just want to sit down in front of my TV with a box of pizza and
Mm.
just want to, so
Indulge. Yeah.
and it's not about the pizza. It's about, I don't know, this romanticized thing in my brain of just like living, and like living without restriction.
Right.
So sometimes, in the spirit of not living without restriction, because we're just here for a human experience, we're not here to be perfect, we're just here to live,
Yes.
I will allow myself to order the box of pizza. It won't be a cheese pizza,
Right.
but it'll be a pizza. It'll
Yeah.
have the marinara and some veggies on it.
Good for
And
you. Yeah.
learning how to enjoy that moment and that experience
Yeah.
without guilt,
Yeah. Good for
without
you.
feeling
Yeah.
like I'm doing something bad. And that's, again, it's like relearning because you don't want what's good for you most of the time. You don't want it to become like a way of a disordered thinking pattern because
Right.
it can lead to almost like a disordered eating thinking
So,
pattern.
so true.
Not necessarily that you have a disordered eating because you don't. Like I eat very well most of the time, but I shouldn't feel bad about wanting something that has gluten in it or
Right.
you know what I mean, that just isn't a living food. Basically there shouldn't be so much negative energy mentally around it because that negative energy will break me down faster than that food will.
Wow. So
So
true. Yes.
So like,
Hmm.
I'm still learning. I'm still learning.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
promise you.
yeah.
And I tell that to people, like, listen, I ain't perfect, but
Right.
it's crazy because like a lot of what I have created today was at one point in my lowest and most desperate time in my life, while I was drinking, while I was smoking, while I was overweight, while I was sick, while I wasn't motivated and really working like that, and didn't have money, didn't have anything. I had and I knew what I wanted, and I would do I'd get a pen and a pad out, and I would like write down my goals and affirmations of what I wanted for myself. And
Yes.
it's crazy because now when I think about it and I look at my surroundings, it's exactly what I asked for
Mm.
without even believing it was possible when I was
Amazing.
writing it down.
Amazing.
And so
Yes.
5 years from now, as much as I love everything that I've created, that's almost what I wanted then. It isn't so
Mm.
much what I want now, but I also want to say that I'm very grateful. So it's about not about what you want, it's about being happy and being grateful for everything that your current now and reality is. And that's how you maintain it. With that said, um, I still have the same worldview, just
Yeah.
cleaner and not running away from it with alcohol. And I'm stepping in more into this lifestyle and seeming to become more of an influencer in this space. And as much as I love influencing people to be a better version of myself, I don't like working. I just really would love to um, have some recipe books.
Hmm.
I make a lot of raw foods. Have some recipe books made that can be a guide for people to make better choices, especially those who are still eating the Western way of eating, the sad standard American dieting,
Yes.
um,
Yes.
and just continuing to be a light for those who just needs to see a daily example of knowing that it is possible. But in 5 years, I just see myself actually getting my hands in the dirt, growing my own food,
Hmm.
um, creating food forests, and just planting fruit trees all over the place if I can help it, and just living a simple life. I'm not, I used to be career driven and focused, and I used to want to be independent and,
Yeah.
and I could care less about all that superficial stuff anymore. Like, I just want to be a light in the world, to where kind of steering people away from this world that the powers that be are trying to create.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's a really complex world. It's got a lot of evil under take there's an underlying
Underpinning.
evilness to it,
Yeah. Yes.
and
Yes. I do know.
I just want us to be more connected to nature. So that's
Yes.
really
Yes.
all. I feel like I'm willing to die behind this. Like, I'm okay. I don't fear death. I understand that a lot of this isn't real. This is a projection, it's a simulation, it's what
Hmm.
we say it is, it's what
Yes.
we create it to be.
Yes.
And our spirits live on,
Yes.
but we can't be scared. We can't
Yes.
live in fear. We
Thank you.
have to be willing to share
Yes.
the truth. We
Hmm.
have to be the light. And people
Yes.
think being the light is always being positive and being rosy and being soft and sweet and kind. No, being the light is telling the truth,
Yeah.
because only the truth is going to get us into alignment
The
with
truth
the
set
heart
you free.
chakra of our planet, because we
Yes.
need to be in alignment of the heart chakra of our planet. Our hearts need to be resonating in the same way that our planet wants to resonate. Our planet's going to be fine. It's
Right.
going to be fine.
Thank you.
Um,
Yes. Yes.
but we have to work on ourselves,
Yes.
and we can't change the world without working on ourselves first. And
Thank
I
you.
feel like
Yes.
that's what I did differently back then. I thought changing the world was understanding and knowing what was going on and being really loud about it until people would listen. But what I know now is, if that's how you see the world and if that's what you believe, you have to vote with your actions. So you can't be in alignment with what you believe isn't real, isn't natural, isn't true, or what you believe is evil, essentially. You have to live outside of that paradigm, you
Yes.
have to live closer to God, and living closer to God is living closer to nature and consuming what is real, which is natural. So that's gonna, once we do that, there's not gonna be no power over us,
Nothing.
because they can only have power over you when they control what you eat and what you consume. And if you're consuming, and what you're fearing are animals, not being able to eat animals, and not being able to eat processed Doritos, and
Yeah.
everyone's complaining about how all the processed food plants are burning down, and it's this huge conspiracy. I say, bring it on. It's not real anyways.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
so while they're burning down, trying to create chaos, trying to create food shortages, that's not food shortages, that's poison shortages. Let them burn it down,
Thank you. Thank
because
you.
now we gravitate. You're all they're doing is pushing us closer to nature, so we'll
Yes.
eat what's available to us.
Yes.
But so it's
Most
about
definitely.
changing this paradigm shift, changing the perception of the matrix that they designed and created around us, and operating outside of it, and becoming the glitch by being your own person,
Yes. So
not listening to their programming and all that crap.
yeah, oh, most definitely. We can talk for hours about that, but we won't.
Right. I know. I'll end it there.
Yes,
But yes,
but let me just say, how can my audience find out more about Lashay Taylor?
if you want to continue to follow me, you can find me on social media. I have a YouTube channel. I'm not as active on there as I should be. It's Black Pineapple with a six LACK underscore pineapple.
Okay.
Same thing with Instagram, Black Pineapple with the six LACK underscore pineapple. You can find me on Facebook at Lashay Taylor. I'm more active on Facebook than anything else. I guess it's just the easiest for me. It's right there, the blue app. That's just where you'll see me the most. That's where you get most of my thoughts. I am working on a website as well. Actively as we speak, all of my recipes will be going on that website, and blogging. You'll get more of these thoughts on that website, because I don't even share a lot of that on my Facebook. I try to keep it neutral and just about the healthy lifestyle. But there is far more to me under the surface than
Hmm.
just the pictures of what I ate for breakfast and lunch and my juices. It's a lot deeper, and I try to keep part of that part of me to myself, um, because at this point,
Yes.
at this point, I don't care about changing the world by providing information. The information is already there. It's really just about being an example that you don't have to be suffering physically in life if you just
Yes.
choose to eat better. So I can be found on Instagram, on YouTube, and on Facebook.
Nice, nice, nice. Are you involved in an exercise program at this point?
I'm not, and I keep saying the only
Oh,
exercise that I have been getting is at home. I have been doing like the same 10-minute YouTube video of stretches.
really?
And so, yes, so it's like literally for me at this point, I'm just trying to get my subconscious mind in the habit of just moving in
Moving more.
general.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I'm just trying to train myself to just keep doing that, because but I do walk. I do a lot of walking. I live in a really walkable spot, so like I try to get a couple of miles in regularly. But
Good.
outside of that, I'm not doing. I want to do calisthenics. I have no interest in lifting weights, but I do want to actually become proficient at lifting my own weight.
Okay. Body weight exercises, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very good. I would recommend you do that. That's important as well. You want to have that lean muscle, and you want to have the strength. As we get older, sometimes we get weaker because the muscles tend to atrophy. So you want to kind of keep the muscles nice and strong. All right. So that's what that's my recommendation to you. And that's the only thing I can recommend to you. You're doing amazing work.
Thank you. And I will do better.
Okay, good. So with that being said, Lashay Taylor, on behalf of Body Scope of New York, that's my nonprofit, and 6 Weeks to Fitness, I truly want to thank you for coming on my show today.
Thank you. And I probably should talk to you about 6 Weeks for Fitness so I can be fit for at least 6 weeks.
Most definitely, because I have 6 week fitness programs that are virtual. So when I do my next one, I'll let you know.
Okay, please do.
Okay. And to my listeners and to my viewers, I really appreciate you coming on the show and watching the show. And if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for the show, please don't forget to subscribe and email me at vince@sixweeks.com so you don't miss any future episodes. And remember, we don't stop exercising because we grow old. We grow old because we stop exercising. Peace.